Hey guys, my name's Jeremy Beeland, and in today's video, we're going to talk about how to talk to cash buyers for wholesaling. If you don't know who I am, again, my name's Jeremy Beeland. I am a master of acquiring off-market properties. Since I started my journey back in 2017, myself and my companies, we have done over 450 off-market acquisitions in 6 different states. I've built multiple markets to over $1 million annually in those markets, and we have done over $10 million in gross profits. Today's video, though, is about how you can get better at talking to cash buyers so you can do more deals. Let's dive in. All right, so what exactly is a cash buyer, right? This is really, when it comes to wholesaling, wholesaling is the art of finding discounted properties, taking a purchase and sales agreement, one that says, I am going to buy 123 Main Street. That purchase and sales agreement is assignable, meaning I can sign the rights to somebody else. And with wholesaling, that's a cash buyer. So I want to go out and find contracts or get contracts with distressed sellers, assign the rights over to a cash buyer via an assignment contract and get an assignment fee. Cash buyer will actually be the one who executes the purchase and sales contract, closes on the property, and you get the assignment fee for basically bringing the deal to a cash buyer. So what is exactly a cash buyer? Well, a cash buyer is just what it sounds like, right? It's a real estate investor that's using cash or hard money to get distressed properties, to renovate the properties, keep them as rentals, things of that nature, right? There's a handful of niches that cash buyers will perform in. Again, fix and flips, buy and holds, mobile home parks, storage units, right? So it really depends on your niche. But as a wholesaler, you don't need to focus about any of that. All you need to do is get really good at acquiring off-market properties and building a cash buyers list. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Now, building a cash buyers list is super important. Now, there's a few different ways to go about this. And if you check my another video here in my YouTube channel, I teach you how to build a cash buyers list. Now, it's my personal belief, from my experience, that the bigger the cash buyers list you get, the more you're going to win, the more money you're going to make. There's another school of thought out there saying that you don't need a lot of cash buyers, you only need a few cash buyers. I don't like this process. Now, if you're going to be working a virtual model and you're going to be doing properties nationally, right? If you're a national wholesaler, it's going to be really challenging for you to build a big cash buyers list in all the different markets if you're just getting leads everywhere. But if you're focused on a specific area, then I strongly suggest you build the biggest, baddest cash buyers list as you possibly can. Because what's going to happen is, with cash buyers, it's kind of like the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of them are going to be your real cash buyers, and they're going to do 80% of the deals, while the other 80% probably want to be cash buyers, claim to be cash buyers, but they won't do a lot of business with you. And in fact, they're going to end up doing probably 20%, right? And cash buyers come and go. You know, some people come into the whole, fix and flipping. They do 1 or 2 deals as a cash buyer, and then they just disappear. It's not for them. They don't have success. They overpay for properties, whatever the case may be. So cash buyers are constantly coming and going. So with that being an organic list that really is always evolving, it's really important that you spend just as much time and effort building your cash buyers list as you do going to get the deals for the contracts that you're going to assign. So I always tell my students in our coaching program, and it's always been what we've done in our own businesses, we work really hard to get off-market deals. We work really hard to continue to build a cash buyers list as well. And again, you really want the biggest, baddest cash buyers list as possible. You'll make a lot more money that way. And I always tell my students, you really want to have a minimum of 150 cash buyers just to do your first deal. But I don't want them to stop there. I want them thinking 1,500 cash buyers. Now, I told you the bigger the list there is, the more money you make, right? Well, you're going to come across deals that are going to be hard to sell for whatever reason. It could be a type of house, could be a location, right? And you're going to work really hard, and there's going to be a distressed situation. But if you don't have a lot of cash buyers, you may struggle to move these properties along. But if you have a large volume of cash buyers, then chances are very high that you're probably going to find at least one cash buyer to take the deal that many of the others won't. And that's why I think it's really important. That's one reason why I think it's really important to build a cash buyers list. Now, you know, building a cash buyers list is going to be important for that reason, but also, let me say this. So we talked earlier briefly about another school of thought is having a few cash buyers, right? So a lot of people think all you need is a couple cash buyers if you work your local market. Go identify what they want for properties. We'll talk more about that in a second. And then go find those deals and bring those deals back to them, which is great. But I don't really like that model. I call that a CBE, cash buyer employee. So I would prefer to have cash buyers competing for my business instead of me competing for theirs. So let me explain that a little further, right? So you work for, let's just say, 3 cash buyers in your market, right? They tell you the type of deals you want to go get. And then you go and get one of those deals, and you're like, hey, this is a good opportunity. I worked really hard. You know, I was doing the cold calling, direct mail, whatever, texting, pay per lead. I worked really hard to get this lead. It took me months to get this deal under contract. I busted my ass for it. Now I really want to make some money. Now you go to cash buyer number 1 of 3. Cash buyer 1 says, hey, listen, I got 2 other flips going right now. I don't have the cash available to work on another project. Sorry, I'm not interested. Go to cash buyer number 2. He's like, listen, I don't buy houses on that side of town. I like the property, but if it was on this side of town, I would do it. Go to cash buyer number 3. He's like, hey, yeah, sure, I'll do that. You're like, he's like, how much you want to get for it? You're like, I want to make 10 grand. He says, I'll give you 5. This is what they do, because if they're not haggling you, right, and bartering with you, they don't feel like they're doing themselves a service. So they're going to do that. And if he finds out he's the only cash buyer on your deal, then you really have no leg to stand on, right? So he's going to say 5. You know this is the only cash buyer you have. You don't really want to go scrambling to find more cash buyers at this point. So you're like, I really like to get 10. And then you guys maybe settle like $7,000, $7,500, somewhere in the middle, right? But you just gave up $2,500 of hard-earned money to a cash buyer. That's why I don't like being a CBE, a cash buyer employee, because that doesn't sound like a big deal. But what if you're doing that 10 times or 20 times, right? Now you're talking the difference of $25,000 to $50,000 of your money that you're giving to a cash buyer by not having a lot of cash buyers. Now, if you had tons of cash buyers, what I like to do is market the property out to all of them and have them place bids on my property and have them compete for my deals. That's how you can get a lot more money out of them. So rather than that cash buyer coming to you and saying, hey, I'll give you $7,500, right? You can squeeze those other cash buyers out for $12,000, $15,000, maybe even more. Now, instead of giving up $2,500 a deal, you're getting $2,500 or $5,000 more per deal. Again, not a big deal, but when you start to do that 10, 15, 20 times a year, those numbers really add up. So when I started, my goodness, cash buyers, they were pretty intimidating. I won't lie. I was really intimidated by cash buyers. Now, you may not be, but I was, because they were the guys with all the money. I didn't have any money. Now, I'm a cash buyer myself today, which is great, and I buy a lot of properties by using private lending. Again, you can check out other videos on my YouTube where I talk more about that. But for this video, it's really important that you understand that cash buyers are a dime a dozen, but so are wholesalers, right? So when you're approaching a cash buyer, it's important that you come across professional, right? So as a wholesaler, when I first started, again, I was intimidated by cash buyers. These were guys that have been doing deals. I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't have any money. I really needed them. And, I started out a little bit as a CBE too, which allowed me to leave a lot of money on the table, right? And again, when you're a CBE, you're more or less a distressed seller, right? You get a contract like from a distressed seller below market discount, and you're selling it to a cash buyer below value as a distressed seller too. So I've been through that. And then I started to build a really cash buyers list, which turned the tables, if you will. So now they compete for my business. I don't compete for theirs, as I spoke about earlier. But with that being said, as a cash buyer myself now, I get hit up by wholesalers all the time. And a lot of cash buyers do. But the problem is, not many of these wholesalers will ever make it. Like literally 90 to 99% of wholesalers fail out because they're not getting good coaching, they're not getting good marketing, they're not doing good deals, they're watching YouTube, which, hey, thank you for watching, but you don't get everything you need from YouTube as far as direction goes. Maybe you can. There's some channels out there, but it's really, really hard to figure this out. So wholesalers will come and go just as much as cash buyers do, but more so. So I get solicited by wholesalers all the time, but the biggest problem I see in today's day and age is the person I'm talking to is not the contract holder. It's somebody else who's trying to market somebody else's contract and daisy chain it or piggyback on it. So what does that mean? So wholesaler A may have the contract that he's trying to sell, and he goes to wholesaler B, who is a cash buyer, but it's not really a cash buyer, who's now trying to market his property and piggyback on, put a little bit more on that. And cash buyer B maybe go to cash buyer C, again, cash buyer, who's a wholesaler. Now you got like 2 or 3 people trying to move one person's deal, and I don't even know who the hell I'm talking to. I don't even know who has a contract. So when I talk to people, first thing that I say is the contract yours? Are you direct to seller? So as a wholesale, as you're working with cash buyers, it's really important that you communicate, hey, Mr. Cash Buyer, I am a wholesaler. I am going to come to you with properties off market at great discounts. They're going to be, whether you want to fix and flip them or buy and hold, I am going to bring you deals that are my deals. I will be direct to seller. These will be my contracts. I will not be selling somebody else's contract. And if I am, I will let you know that I'm partnering up with somebody to be very transparent. A lot of wholesalers out there aren't doing that. They're just really trying to hustling to make a few bucks off somebody's deals. And that makes cash buyers very hesitant to work with wholesalers, okay? So you need to understand that. But as a good wholesaler, you need to understand that cash buyers are a dime a dozen. Don't be intimidated by them. So at the end of the day, if a cash buyer is not doing what he says he's going to do, he's not giving you the EMD, he's not performing, he's dragging things out when you sign the deal to him, cut the cord, go to another cash buyer. Again, if you have a big cash buyers list, you'll have many other cash buyers to go to, right? And then you don't have to worry about non-performing cash buyers, because again, you're going to find wholesalers pretending to be cash buyers, and they're going to be daisy chaining your deals. You're going to have cash buyers who maybe just want to put you through the ringer, do a lot of due diligence, and maybe really nervous about actually executing the contract. So they're going to do a lot of different things that you shouldn't do, like multiple walkthroughs, bring contractors in multiple times, get possible bids, and drag and delay it out. And in the 11th hour, they're going to be like, sorry, I don't want to move on this deal, sorry. And then you're screwed, right? So you need to understand that you got to vet your cash buyers. Cash buyers need to vet you to make sure you are a real wholesaler, and you need to vet them to make sure they're a real cash buyer. Super, super important. But one of the things I want to mention is there's going to come a time when you're going to build relationships with certain cash buyers. And these are going to be your go-to cash buyers, okay? And it's really important to have a few of these in your buyers list. Now, you want them always competing for your business. And you want to be respectful and fair. You always want to feel like if you're showing a house or a contract to somebody and you have 10 or 15 cash buyers there and they're all competing for it, you want to give everybody a fair and honest shake at your deal, right? You don't want to be like playing favorites or anything else like that. So make sure, because that will get out there, and then, your, what's the word I'm looking for? Your integrity may be questioned, and if that starts to happen, people are going to be wary about buying deals from you. So make sure that you're respectful. Cash buyers are going to be like, dude, just give me the deal, I'll close tomorrow. Hey, Mr. Cash Buyer, listen, I want to give everybody a fair opportunity to get my deal. I understand that you want to do it, but I have 3 other guys telling me the same thing. If I just pick one over the other, I'm playing favorites here, and I don't think that's fair and respectful. I want to be respectful to you, respectful to them, give everybody an honest shake to get my deals. I want to make as much money as I can, but I also want to give it a fair opportunity for everybody, right? So that's something that you can discuss with them. But you're going to need some go-to buyers, because there's going to be certain situations that you come across where you're not going to be able to maybe market this property. Now, you may get under contract and you're going to want to assign it, but it may not be something that you can market to many different buyers or have a lot of showings, or maybe even be able to show the property at all, right? So you need to build some relationships with go-to cash buyers who you know, hey, if I bring this contract to and just say, hey, Mr. Cash Buyer, I have a situation here. I can't market this property out like I typically do. They don't want anybody coming in the house. Matter of fact, it's going to be sight unseen. I'll provide you all the pictures and information, but I'd like to see if you want this deal to go directly to you before I go to a couple other cash buyers, right? Because you're going to come across those situations, and you're going to need guys that you know can perform. Now, I will say, as a wholesaler, you are looking for cash buyers, but the end goal is for you to be a cash buyer when it's all said and done. So make sure that you're saving your cash, reinvesting into marketing, building your business, and as you get more deals and bigger spreads, take some of that cash, put it aside so you can be a cash buyer down the road. Because once you become a cash buyer, everything changes, especially when you know how to get the deals. All right, so what do you say to a cash buyer? Well, it's really not that complicated, right? And I'll provide you a script. All you have to do is in the comments below, just leave your email address, and we'll have somebody from our team send you out a script that we use in our coaching program to call and text cash buyers, and you can leave voicemails with them. But it's really not that complicated. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Cash Buyer, my name's Jeremy. I acquire off-market properties at deep discounts. I am looking to assign these contracts for these properties to other investors in the area like you. Are you an investor that would be interested in adding another flip to your pipeline, another property, like a rental property to your portfolio? If yes, please let me know, and I can start putting you on our marketing list. And every time I get a property under contract, I will bring you free leads to see if you have any interest on it. Would that be something that would interest you? Yes, of course. Okay. Well, Mr. Buyer, Mr. and Mrs. Cash Buyer, a couple things I'd like to know. What types of properties you're looking for? What is your budget? Like, can you spend up to $100,000 per property or $1 million per property? How many properties are you looking for at a time? Can you close on one deal a year, or can you close on one deal a week? What kind of properties do you like? Do you like single families, multifamilies, both, mobile homes, right? Skyscrapers, right? You want to get this information from them, get an idea of what their price point is, what type of house they're looking for. You're going to put all this information in the CRM, and and really have an idea of how many deals they can close on per year. Now, it's important, but it's not super important, because as you build your cash buyers list, you're not going to worry about who's buying what. You're just going to market your property to everybody, and they're going to just place bids on it. But until you get there, it's really good to know what everybody's doing. Plus, this will help you build rapport and understanding what buyers are looking for in your market, which is really good feedback, right? You really want to know what a majority of the buyers are looking for, because that's really where you want to be sending your marketing to. And this will help you build rapport with some of those go-to buyers, as I talked about previously, to make sure that you have that relationship with them as well. So, get an idea, again, how many properties can they close a year? What's their price point? What type of property they're looking for? Then, get the rest of the information, contact information. What's their cell phone? Because you're going to text them or call them. What's the name of their company, right? What's the LLC name? So you have that information when you go to sign it. Make sure, are they okay working with your title company or a closing attorney instead of theirs? As you always want to have the preference of using your own to streamline the property, but some of them may say no, and you may have to work through that a little bit, right? And then what is the email address, so we can send you these properties with details via email and stuff like that. So that's really all you need to do, right? It's just get a budget range, desired return on investment, geographic areas that they want to work in, and just start building trust and credibility with these guys. Now, that's the hard part when you've never done a deal, right? Of course, I know that. But you're going to start doing deals. And one of the things I would recommend is when you're out on getting these properties under contract and posting that on your private social media channels, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, whatever that is, post this, right? Because people are going to see that, and that's going to give more credibility. But really, you're going to have to hustle those first few deals that you get, because they don't know you. So when you get a deal under contract, and let's just say you have that 150 cash buyers, you're not going to just send out a text message and an email. Yes, you're going to do that, but you're going to get on the phone and call every single one of them. Hey, Mr. Cash Buyer. Hey, Miss Cash Buyer. I have a deal. I am looking to, assign this deal right now. You're going to have to sell that deal as much as and as hard as possible for the first few deals, because they need to know that you're real and legit. You're going to have to prove that and earn it. You're going to have to hustle and sell that deal. You've hustled to sell to get the deal. Now you're going to have to hustle and sell to sell the deal, right? After you do that a few times, it'll get a lot easier. You won't have to do that. But the first few deals, you're going to have to bust your ass and really sell that deal. So you need to get on the phone and make phone calls and talk to every single cash buyer over and over and over again till you get a yes, I'm interested, or no, I'm not interested. And if they're not interested, why? Get that feedback. That'll give you a better understanding of what investors are looking for in your market, okay? So make sure you work really hard at getting an idea of what they want, but also selling those contracts. One thing that a lot of people don't do when working with cash buyers is they're not always honest and transparent about the property or details about the situation, right? So for example, a lot of people will, in wholesaling, will have a purchase sales agreement. They want to assign that purchase sales agreement to a cash buyer. If the cash buyer is going to buy a contract that he needs to execute on, he's going to want to see the language in that contract, because some people are idiots and do stupid contracts. I don't want to just pay somebody $10,000 for a contract that doesn't work in my favor, right? And then these wholesalers like, whoa, I'm not showing you this purchase sales agreement. Don't be that person. Be transparent. Show them the purchase sales agreement. Now they may suggest to make some changes. You're going to have to kind of navigate that with your closing attorney or title company and the seller if it's something that you maybe screwed up on and need to fix, or if they're just really trying to nitpick you to protect themselves. And then you're going to have to kind of hold firm and just say, no, listen, dude, my contract is valid. Another cash buyer will execute on it. If you don't, just let me know. But be honest and transparent with them, right? If you know the roof needs to be replaced, let them know. If there's a septic system and the septic system is failed, let them know. If there's been frozen pipes somewhere, let them know. If there's asbestos or mold, let them know. If there's structural damage, let them know. Now, you don't have to be an expert at knowing what the rehab numbers are or the ARV. It's not something I feel very strongly that you need to do, because your job as a wholesaler is to get really good at acquiring off-market properties, not knowing how much a cash buyer is going to spend on flooring and roofing and everything else, especially when their costs are all different. But you really need to know what's going on with the property, right? So the house is just a commodity, but we need to know the details of that commodity, right? So when you're asking questions, about the property, make sure you're writing all this stuff down. The water heater is 3 years old, updated kitchen, the furnace is 15 years old, needs a new AC unit, right? The roof is 10 years old, has a roof leak, there's a couple broken windows. Get as much information as you can. Relay that information over to your cash buyers as you're marketing the property, so they know exactly what the house is. And then in their heads, as they're looking through this, right, they can understand the number you're asking and what's work needs to get done in the ARV, if this works for them. And if it works for them, they're going to be interested. But the last thing you want to do is say, hey, check out this awesome deal, and they go to the house and it's something that it's not. Once that happens, dude, you're going to lose all your credibility and integrity, and then it's going to be a huge uphill battle to do that. So always be open and honest, right? I believe in transparency with the seller and transparency with the buyers. We want to be a truth seeker, a truth teller. Honesty and transparency in everything we do. It will give you a good name in this industry, and your reputation with the sellers and the buyers in this industry is massively huge to your success. I promise you, don't F around with that. Be really cautious of your integrity and your reputation, so you can be, in years to come, the guy that people want to work with in your market. All right, so one thing I will say is, if you assign a contract to a cash buyer, make sure they get their earnest money deposit, right, the EMD, the non-refundable EMD, into your title company or a closing attorney within 24 to 48 hours, right, business hours. If they don't, and they keep giving you the run along, they keep stringing you along, right, and they're not doing it, I would be very skeptical that you're talking to a real cash buyer, and that you may actually be talking to a wholesaler who's looking at daisy chain your properties. My personal belief, which I tell my students in our coaching program and what we do in our business, if you don't have your EMD in within 48 hours, we cancel the contract and go to the next buyer, because chances are that buyer is not going to perform anyway, and they're going to string you along for weeks with different excuses until the contract runs out of time, and then you may not be able to keep the seller moving along. They could use this as an opportunity to backdoor you, or you may just not be working with a real cash buyer. So make sure that you're very confident and firm that, hey, if you want this deal, we have an agreement, we signed the assignment contract, I've given you all the details of the property, we're ready to move forward. You need to put your money where your mouth is and get an EMD in within 48 hours. If you don't, then I'm just going to cancel the contract with you, and I'm just going to move on to the next cash buyer. And the other thing is, guys, just make sure you have regular communications with your cash buyers. Build those relationships, right? Get to be friends with them, right? Don't just keep them as just people that you don't know. Build relationships with them. When they come to look at the houses, shake their hand, talk to them. These are going to be people that you potentially could be partnering up with in the future, right? To do really awesome things. We all start out somewhere. Many of us start out as wholesalers. But as I talked about the reputation, right? If you're a good person who's working hard and has a good reputation of being honest and fair and transparent, and they like doing business from you, and they feel like they're buying good deals from you, and you're making good money, then it's a win-win across the board. So continue to foster those relationships, even if things are a little slow. Call them, right? Just take a little bit of time. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Cash Buyer, I'm sorry I haven't brought a deal. It's just been a little slow. How things going with you? How things with the family? You got any projects you're working on? Anything I could do to provide value for you? If you have any questions, right? Just continue to build those relationships. You want to make sure that over years to come, that they know you as well as you know them. And then, when I talked about this earlier, when you guys, if they're not interested in your properties, whether they decide they're not to put in an offer, they email, whatever it is, you bring them a deal, they don't like it, ask the reasons why. Solicit feedback from cash buyers. This is super important, especially like the first 2 years in the business, right? When you're new, solicit feedback from them. Get an idea. What are you doing wrong that they don't like, right? This isn't a criticism of what you're doing wrong. You just may be getting the wrong types of properties at the wrong prices, right? Or the wrong areas for your specific market. It's not to say you can't move to them, but what does the majority want? Let's not worry about the minority. Now, if the minority deals come along, the deals that the minority would take, right? We're not going to pass those up, but we're focusing our effort, our money, our marketing, our time, right? On what the majority wants. So you have to build that list of what they want, right? If it's mostly just single families for flips in your area because maybe rentals are too expensive for single families, then let's focus on single family flips. If you realize that, there's a real need for buyers really want small or medium multifamilies, and there's an opportunity for you to find them through tired landlords, then attack that, right? Now, I don't want you to be a CBE for a couple cash buyers, but what do the hundreds of cash buyers tell you what they want, the majority of what they want in your market? That's what you really need to be focusing your marketing on. So getting a feel for that. Now, that may change and ebb and flow and, just change over time, and that's okay. As you get better of understanding your market and price points and your buyers' needs and their costs and everything else, you'll have a better idea of what they want and get yourself the right deals, the right focus, the right contracts, so you can make a ton of money as a wholesaler. All right, guys, that's this video for today. I hope you found it valuable. Listen, guys, if you do want the cash buyer script that we use in our coaching program to talk to cash buyers via text, email, call, or leave a voicemail, put your email in the comments below, and we'll make sure somebody from our team emails that out to you right away. And then, listen, if you guys have any other questions, please pop them in as well. But that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you found it helpful, please like it, right? That'll help me, right? So I appreciate that. And then subscribe so the algorithm will help feed other wholesalers like yourself watching this video what they need to learn in their markets from the value that I can bring. So I really appreciate that. And listen, if you really want to take your wholesaling to the next level and you want to break from the 9 to 5, you want to start getting to a point where you're doing multiple deals, bigger deals, more deals, less cancellations consistently every month, then click on the link below. Book a discovery call with yours truly. We'll see if we're the right fit for you or you're the right fit for us. And maybe we'll get you in our coaching program and change your life forever. I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching. Take care. Build a life of freedom through real estate investing just like I did. REI Freedom, baby. Let's go.